What's up, Lions fans? Welcome to Season 1, Episode 30 of the Lions Main Podcast. On this episode, we recap our sweeping of the Packers, give out our game balls, and talk about what concerns us. As always, thank you for your support. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube at Lions Main Podcast.
This is the Lions Main Podcast.
Hey, somebody shut that dog up in the background. No, I'm kidding. A long weekend of football, some good college football. We also got some good, obviously, NFL games. We'll get to the Lions game. That's going to be the bulk of this recap episode. But Jim, I see that you added two more teams to the list of teams that you hate.
Yep.
Panthers and Falcons. Why are you hating on these? They're no threat. Why are you hating on those guys?
All right, so I'll retract the Panthers. I thought about it more. I was just pissed in the moment because I wanted them to win. I like the Panthers. I appreciate them putting up a good fight, making the Eagles look human. Falcons.
No excuse.
Just a piss-ass effort. I mean, what are you doing? And just to get demolished like that, you're supposed to be a playoff team. That's not a playoff team. That's a piss-ass team.
That's not a playoff team.
Hey, Corny Kirk is washed. I've been saying that. Come on now.
If our dear friend Mac listens to that, he's going to strangle you like a cartoon.
Right. That was just to trigger him.
Yeah, no, the first
Drew,
two
you're
teams
muted.
I hate.
You're muted, Drew.
My bad. The Panthers have looked good.
Hey, are you recording?
The Panthers do look good. But
Is Bryce Young in the
Bryce Young look actually pretty good. Are we gonna see a Michael Penix out showing next game?
Penix the penis, get him out there.
I mean, Kirk Cousins, 0 touchdowns, 7 interceptions in the last 3 games.
8. Oh, I thought that was. Never mind, that was 4. Yeah.
I don't see why not. But, I mean, there's also a reason he's not playing, too. But who knows?
I think the reason he's not playing is because they paid Kirk Cousins that big bag.
What did he get? 3 years, $100 million?
I think more.
Something
I think it
like
was 4
that?
years, $50 million each year.
It's crazy that he got booed. I didn't realize that there's that kind of hate from the Minnesota fan base.
I mean,
Yeah.
we booed Stafford.
Yeah, it's a little different. I mean,
Yeah, but Kirk Cousins' wife's not on the internet roasting the line, roasting.
Dude, you're telling me you booed Stafford because of his wife?
I booed him because of his kids.
Drew is a misogynist.
What the hell? That is
I
not.
believe it.
She has nothing to do with it. He's the fucking enemy now. That's why I was booing his ass. Are you kidding me?
playoff game too. If it's a
Well,
regular
you
season,
guys have two staunchly different opinions. Like, George, you're more focused on the opponent, and Drew's I'm more focused on the fact that he, hates women. So that's where that's coming from.
No. But
Speaking.
Crazy. That's coming from you, Kane. That is crazy.
oh no.
No. Hey, nobody loves women more than me. All right. Speaking of hatred, though, the team we all hate. We can all agree that we hate Green Bay Packers. So, Lions have won the last 6 of 7 matchups. You talk about a franchise owning another fucking franchise. We own them. We own those pigs.
Where the hell did that come from? I like it, but we all great. What's that from?
You don't like that? You don't like me calling
I
them
like
pigs?
it. What's it from?
fuck the pigs.
They're fucking pig. What the fuck is a Packer, dude? I don't want to hear no meat Packer, no cheese Packer, whatever the fuck the packing is.
It's a part of the history of Wisconsin. Go to hell.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid.
Well, if we're gonna do packing, is way more native to Chicago in the meat packing industry.
True.
I lived in Chicago for 4 years.
It was 6, but yeah.
Hey, yeah, let me get my facts straight. No, but I just want to go ahead and congratulate the Green Bay Packers for being the first team this year to officially get swept by the Detroit Lions. Congratulations, fellas. There's 2 more teams that will have that will happen to. God forbid we do meet them in the playoffs and we beat their ass 3 times. That'd be phenomenal.
Is there any greater fan chirp than the cheese grater? I love that shit. Every time I see it.
No, that's phenomenal.
It's too
That
good.
is
It's too good.
class. Are they selling
Also,
them wholesale now?
I'm sure.
Gotta be.
I tried to find
imagine cheese being your mascot. That's
Disgusting.
that's honestly crazy.
What's
Yeah,
worse,
it's like,
that or
it's
a
like
nut?
calling fucking pigs.
The Buckeyes. I'm not even a Michigan guy, but the Buckeyes is a nut. That's pretty bad too.
Yeah.
It's funny
Yeah.
you say that, Jim, because I had the same exact thought like 2 weekends ago when they were playing Michigan. Like, oh, is he like a Buckeye? And you're
It's
gonna get behind a Buckeye, a nut?
it's
I can't
lunacy.
imagine somebody getting behind a nut like that.
Let's
It's-
go nuts.
It's so stupid. I mean, I'm in agreement with you. I'm biased, but it's fucking stupid.
It is.
Dumbest mascot on the planet.
Sorry, Ohio State fans.
Cheese is
last-
like stinky too. The stinky cheese.
Last
Stinky
thing, and I think
Packers. Stinky waste management looking ass team. Nasty shit.
True.
Yeah.
like that nasty shit. I thought you liked that nasty shit.
George is like, that's the shit I found between my toes.
Ugh.
Oh shit.
Well, he does like to pick it out late at night after a few drinks when
He goes,
Uber Eats is close for the night. You know, when Uber Eats isn't delivering anymore, he's like, all right, time for the desserts.
George,
Ugh.
I took you as it's late night. You get a glass of wine, get some meat, some cheese, some crackers. You're a meat and cheese guy out there. No.
George on a
When I
Saturday
lived
night
with
goes,
Mac, holy shit, yeah, we did that all the time. He's
I'll tell you
obsessed
what.
with the cheese.
He's always got crackers up there late at night, but it's usually just us.
Nice. Yeah, so we're gonna get into a few topics that we've seen over like social media and I guess like ESPN and whatnot. One of the biggest things I've seen, one of the talking points, is the amount of penalties and like the ref favoritism that the Detroit Lions get. I just want to go ahead and let the Green Bay Packers fans know, first and foremost, shut the fuck up. Okay, there's not you cannot talk to this franchise and talk about the refs being on our side. And God forbid, if 1 year they are, let's go back and look. Their greatest win against us, the Aaron Rodgers Hail Mary, the ghost face mask penalty that gave them a free play, that play wouldn't fucking exist and they would have took an L from us. So I'm not trying to hear about the refs and penalties because facts don't care about feelings. And the fact is this. There were 7 penalties on both sides. Hey, Jim, that was a quote from one of your favorite individuals. But there are 7 penalties on both sides, 59 and 56 yards. Virtually, essentially, exactly the same. So, I mean, I'm not trying to sit here and hear some of that bullshit that's spewing from Packers fans. I mean, buddy, you took the L, you got 4 losses. How about you just shut up and you try to make the playoffs?
Well, I mean, they did some like bullshit thing, which everybody always does. They clipped like 3 plays. Like, what about these? Well, I can name you 3 off the top of my head that weren't called for the Lions' favor. That Frank Ragnow holding, that was just atrocious.
Atrocious.
Kirk Herbstreit himself, you could probably call that on every play. The Zadarius Smith, again, phantom face mask penalty didn't happen. Just didn't fucking happen. And I'm forgetting the third one now, but I had it in my head earlier. Anyways, there were several instances in which they benefited from calls as well. So if you're going to freak out like that about missed calls, just understand it was happening both ways all night. And candidly, you lost. You were the worst team. Your defense couldn't stop us. You are saying that. What the old saying is, you shouldn't be in a position to lose a game because of the refs if you're a good team, and that should be doubly true if you're playing Randy, John, and Tony on the defensive line.
Right.
I want to go back to Kane. That point you made is like, even if the refs call penalties in our favor for 1 year, like, we are still in a massive debt of calls in the history of being Lions fans. Like, every Lions fan listening to this, all of us, like, we can think of specific, like, so many times where we got screwed over by the refs. Particularly, I mean, Dallas, they're playing right now. Like,
we would have won a playoff game. To your point, we would have won a playoff game years before this last shit. You know, this celebration last year. We would have had that years before for these fucking refs. But keep going.
Well, I mean, we literally, to your point, we literally redefined the Lions team redefined what a catch was because we got screwed over by the refs and Calvin Johnson. Like, everybody remembers that against the Bears. It's like, yeah, we would have won a playoff game. We wouldn't have had this massive, like, drought of a playoff win had the refs not been involved. And so, I mean, I think it's pretty ridiculous. I also just, I think that when you're a good team, you get calls. So, and Packers fans should know that better than anybody. Like, they've been getting calls in their favor for years.
For
And
years.
now that we're like, that's just the way the NFL works. I mean, it was the Patriots, it's the Chiefs, and
Right.
I wouldn't even say it's us yet, but it's, we're a good team. So
my point is, and even if it is happening, shut the fuck up.
Right.
Like welcome to mediocrity for once, and now you're on the receiving end of bad calls. So just shut the fuck up, Packers. This is going to be the new norm, so get used to it.
I got one more point because you just brought that up. Any team, any sports team can, when they lose, can find excuses for why they lost.
Always.
And I just think like, what this Lions team is so injured, like that could be a perfect excuse for us. But you listen to Dan Campbell, he's like, we don't care who's injured, who we have. Like, we're not going to give excuses for why we lose a game. And I don't know. I don't know if there's a connection there. I just,
It's also a little frustrating too because we're the most flagged team in football. They can go get fucked. Cry me a river. Holy shit. God forbid one fucking game go our way. We've had epic losses because of the refs. Get worked. I mean, good teams, like, because I feel like as a Lions fan, always losing to what we would call like the refs back in the day, we kind of just got used to that. So like you always knew going into these games, you got to play against the refs. That's just, right. And so like we've gotten past that point to where we're good enough to play past these refs. I mean, it's happened with Terrion this whole season. I mean, I hate to dog the guy, but he's gotten a lot. So like in crucial moments, and we still win. So
that's a good point.
I mean, cry me a river, please.
Good teams don't give excuses. They just go out there and ball. And if you listen to the Dan Campbell post game or the locker room video, he literally says, he's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who we're putting out there. We're not going to give an excuse of why we're not going to play or compete to win. And
right. Yeah. So, I mean, and then that just begs the question. I mean, as a Lions fan, I'm constantly comparing Dan Campbell to the coaches of other teams, and so in this game, the other coach, who I can't stand, Matt LaFleur. Did you guys see what happened to him before the game with the Detroit Lions fan who was holding the flag, chirping him? Did you guys see that? What are you guys' thoughts on that? You think the fan was validated? Think he should get kicked out? Think LaFleur was a little soft? What are your thoughts?
I think two things can be true. I think if you're the coach, I get that people are worked up. I mean, I get worked the fuck up. I'd probably be doing the same thing he does. But then again, I'm not paid millions of dollars to be the coach of the Packers. I like LaFleur. I don't think I know people hate him. I just hate the Packers. I think LaFleur is fine. But that fan, I mean, it is not something you should be doing. Do I like it because it gets the other team pissed off and riles up our fans? Yeah, I love it. But at the same time, like, I don't think, if you have the privilege to be on an NFL field, you should be abused.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, as much as I dislike LaFleur, completely disrespectful, funny as fuck.
Very funny.
Funny as fuck, though. Like,
Who cares?
One time, well, that fan's probably never going to be allowed back into the stadium, so.
He's probably screwed.
He's probably screwed, so. Is it worth it? No, but funny as fuck for social media.
You know what I love about having a coach like Dan Campbell?
What?
No one would ever...
No opposing fan would dare like get into it.
He also wouldn't. Dan Campbell would probably just walk away. I feel like I really like LaFleur is an awesome coach, smart coach, runs a great team. But the best thing about Dan Campbell, he literally never gets flustered ever.
Yeah,
like you see on the sideline, shit is apocalyptic. He's asking the ref a question, even when shit doesn't go our way. He might look a little annoyed, but he asks the ref, and then the ref gives him an answer. He just goes. Always does that shit. He's fine. He stays cool as a cucumber, high and low.
That's actually a good segue into my next point.
It's also a good point, Jim, because LaFleur must have been on his Jim McKillop shit, huh?
True.
Yeah.
He was exploding.
Anyways,
great exploding.
I was gonna say great segue because Dan Campbell always seems to keep his cool. There are those times in the game, though, when he gets that super red face and he kind of is chewing that gum or chewing on I don't know what the fuck he's doing in his mouth, but chewing on something and, his red face. looks a little, in my eyes, sometimes a little flustered. And that's sometimes when we don't get those big calls. When he decides to go for it on fourth down and we don't get it, he kind of has that air about him sometimes where it's like, he's about to go for the next 4 straight. Do you guys think that's an ego thing, or do you think it's just who he is?
It's who he is, man.
No.
He
I don't think
wants
he's.
to play in control.
I also don't think he's as flustered as you think he is. He's got people in his ears talking that whole time. They can tell him to do whatever they think, and it's his decision, right? But he's not as flustered. He's not like a bumbling idiot on the fucking sideline over there.
So should we talk about the fourth downs? I feel like we should recap the game a little bit.
Talk about it.
Well, I was going to say, I feel like we should recap the game a little bit if we're going to talk about the fourth downs, because obviously that's a huge storyline, but I want to give you context, right?
Yeah, I can't break down each specific one, so we went for 5 separate fourth downs. The biggest, and this is one of my key measures of success is that we were 80% on those. So we went 7 for 15 on third down, 4 for 5, 80% on fourth down, compared to the Packers, who were 1 for 5 on third down and 1 for 0 fourth downs. So I don't have the specific numbers of where we were at for every single one of those fourth downs. We'll talk to the most notable ones, but he had success. Obviously, there was that notable, I think, on our own 29-yard line, in early in the third quarter when we went for it. Tough decision, but like you guys said, some people, I've seen some of the news. Some people are saying it's like an ego thing, like when he doesn't get it. Sometimes coaches can get stuck in that rut where they keep trying. I think a good example of that is when you see some coaches, some of these like offensive geniuses. So, what is it down in Miami? When things aren't going the way he wants his plays to go, sometimes he runs into this issue where he starts calling crazier plays or plays that just aren't working for him. And then the Dolphins who are a decent team, end up losing like 36-13 or 30, a bad loss. So, anyways, some people could think that this was like an ego thing for him, and you guys are just saying that this is just who he is. What do you guys think about that fourth down that we went for on our 29-yard line?
Well, I think it's just like the entire way that this team has been built is to outman the other team, right? Like out compete, out hustle, and I think like it's a huge part. Yeah, it's a huge part of our identity that we're not going to be afraid of, turning the ball over on downs, on a fourth down, and punt the ball away, because we want to prove, like, the whole identity is that we are better than you up front, and we can run it on third and long, fourth and long, whatever it is, and get the first down and continue the drive. And it's so part of our identity, and it trickles down to every single player on the team. I know you're talking about the one on our own 29, but later on in that game, the one that we got, it sealed the game, is like that call. I saw a report that call, Dan Campbell's actually going to kick the field goal, and Jared Goff was like, no, let's go for it. And he's like, fuck it, let's do it. And so it's like, it's this whole team. It's not like the team was mad at Dan Campbell that he missed the one, it was a bad call on his own 29. The whole team is behind every single one of these calls.
Yeah.
One thing else I'd like to introduce about this is the fact that earlier in the year, when we had we had a healthier defense, especially, early, you didn't see as much of this from Dan Campbell. Yes, the Minnesota Vikings early in the year, that was kind of a tone setting. Early season, you can kind of take that gamble. And maybe the stats would say, hey, you're an idiot. That's not true. But I feel like he's called a lot less of these. We punted the ball a lot more. We've been a lot more like what you'd call traditional football. But I think that last fourth down he's going for it regardless, especially just the way the game was going. Maybe not. But that one on the 29, I think what the rationale behind that is one, you have an offense on the other side that is, starting to pick up steam, starting to play, starting to move the ball against your banged up defense. Got an opportunity to hold on to the ball and move it. And the worst case scenario is you turn the ball over, they're close, they probably score quickly, you get the ball back to your offense, which has also been carving them up. So I think the last thing they wanted there was to punt the football, give them a long time to drive the ball, and that's just less time to line. I'm not saying that's the exact rationale, but I don't hate it. I didn't want him to do it in that moment. but I have absolutely zero issue with the last fourth down. The second to last fourth down, I get the rationale. I don't love it, but the last fourth down, if anybody thinks, there's just a bunch of talking heads who just don't know what they're talking about, and that's what they get paid to do.
Yeah. I mean, Jim, I think you bring up a good point. I would beg to argue that, would it have really mattered if we, on the one on our own 29, would it have mattered if we kicked, punted the ball away or gave it to them on the 29? I think that they were humming, in that entire second half. What was it? Was it 3 straight touchdowns?
That was the second touchdown.
Oh, was that? Okay, fair enough.
Oh, that was the third touchdown. That was the third.
No, that was the second touchdown of the second half.
No,
fair enough. I think the point still remains.
Third.
The point still remains, though, is our defense was getting carved up, especially after we lost Aleem in the first half. We were going to get carved up, and I don't think it would have mattered if they got the ball on their own 20 or our 30. They were going to score. And in that game, if you watch the game, which any of these talking heads, if they watch the game, it was obvious that whichever team finished the game with the ball was going to win that game.
Yeah, I agree completely.
80%.
Yeah, I think that became a little more evident as the game went on. But when you're leading by 2 scores at half, not as much so. But yeah, middle to late fourth quarter, you're like, yeah, whoever has the ball last is going to win. So, especially understandable for that last fourth down that we went for. No, I don't. I think so. My thoughts on this is I can respect it because that's who he is. If Dan Campbell started switching up and picking and choosing in situations where you think he might go, kind of like Jared Goff. If it's true that on that last fourth down he wanted to kick the field goal, Jared Goff had to push him into it, which is good to build that entire team narrative. You don't want to see him start switching up. You want to stay true to who you are. I think that's what happened to the last Chargers coach. He used to go for a lot of fourth downs. I think he was the highest. He had the highest percentage of going for it on fourth down, and then he started switching up once they found a little success, and then his ass got fired. So, I don't want to see that happen. So, I respect it. Stick to your guns. Stay true to yourself. He's a football player. He's not one of these little analytical nerds. He's a football player, so he's going to make football plays. So, I respect that.
He's, just to explain it a little, because I read this and I thought this was kind of fun and interesting, but and kind of explain the tone going into the game, with these fourth downs, because 4 for 5, that's a good sample size, 80%. Come on now, and we won the game. But just so right before the team meeting, so he sits everybody down, and rather than speaking right away, I read this. Colton Pouncey wrote about it in The Athletic. He played the raid scene from The Last of the Mohicans. So I don't know if you've seen that movie, but at the end of the scene, the Native American guy is killing the French soldier, and he vows to kill the French soldier's children, so his seed will no longer be on the earth, and then cuts out the guy's heart and raises it in the air and screams. So that's the scene that they watched right before their team meeting going into the game, just to kind of set the tone and give you guys an idea of how they were mindset-wise going into this game. So might help explain a little bit of that aggressive, believe in your team type shit on those fourth downs.
I love that.
The Detroit Lions don't play any team better than the Green Bay Packers. We bring that heat every time we step on the field with these guys. I can't speak about other teams, other games, the Bears second half. I can't speak on that. But we go out there and we give the Packers the business every time we can. So that's a good little tidbit.
How many times? How many times have we seen a team kick the field goal or not go for it or punt it away and play conservatively, and then get beat?
Yeah, I like to think that happens almost every time you play an elite Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers type. I don't believe in Jordan Love, and truthfully, he doesn't play that well against the Lions. But no, I get your point for sure. And you don't want to put in, that's a good offense. We're moving the ball down the field, passing the ball. So yeah.
Well,
shit.
Can I bring something up that happened literally in a game this weekend?
Yeah, go ahead.
So the Jets Dolphins game. If you watched it, it was tight game the entire time. Came down to the fourth quarter. Jets kick a field goal on 4th and 2 from the Miami 10 with 52 seconds left, and they took a lead 26-23.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch the game, 52 seconds left, Miami marches down the field, gets a field goal. They had only one timeout remaining, and they got a field goal out of it with 52 seconds. I think, on our 4th and inches, what was it, like was it 40 seconds about left?
Yeah.
So Miami comes down the field, kicks a field goal, ties the game, wins it in overtime. And I guess I just am, having watched this team, having watched, a lot of football over the last few years, I would much rather live and die by our decisions than, give control to the other team.
Yeah. I respect that. No, I mean, I told you guys, like, I stand by the decision. Sometimes, like, especially the last one, I was like, holy fuck, this is a crazy bastard. But it was cool that he did it.
Our group chat was going off.
I still, man. Okay, the Green Bay Packers are not the best team. They're not a top 5 team in the league. Can you play the Eagles like that? Can you play a better team than Minnesota Vikings like that? Can you play the Bills like that? Can you play the Chiefs? I don't know if going for the 4th and 4th and 2 on your own 29 is. It gives me flashback to the 49ers last year. But hey, I'm with this team. I'm riding, and that's how we lose. That's how we win. I'm cool with it. So fuck it.
I think there's a different game too. I mean, this was against, I think the Packers are better than you're giving credit for, but it's also banged up defense, different scenario. I think if we have our full team against the Eagles,
you punt that play field position. If we got
like that play field position, it's when you don't have like 5 or 6 depth like deep at D line, you don't have 3 of your 4 starting linebackers to start the season, and even now your depth guy, you don't have anybody. I mean, the secondary is healthy, but if they're run, so I think that's a unique scenario. I think when we get to the playoffs, we play field position. Maybe not on that last play. Maybe we go for that anyways. But the 4th and 2 on the 29, that's probably not. That's probably an anomaly for this season.
Right. Yeah. No. Just to speak to like a little bit of that defense, I thought this was pretty interesting. So I looked up all of those guys that we signed less than 14 days ago. I looked at what was their impact on the game, and so Jamal Adams played in that like a strong safety, dime or nickel position. He played for 8 snaps. So I mean, he was on the practice squad. I didn't even see that they raised him to the active roster. Oh, yeah. And so that was when I saw, I'm like, who the fuck is 25? And I saw that it was his ass out there getting beat on routes. I was like, that's crazy. Linebacker Quan Alexander, 17 snaps. Defensive end Miles Adams played 19 snaps. And then defensive end Jonah Williams, I think a guy we signed about 14 days ago, played 25 snaps. So, I mean, they all had a substantial role on defense, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah. No, to say the least. I mean, some of these guys, look, I don't know if it's because of the cultural lines of builds or the schemes that AG's calling up, or just because they were underutilized where they were, but like guys like Ezekiel Turner, Pat O'Connor, like they're coming in and having good games. Like, some of the other guys are having fine games. Like the linebacker replacement David Long, he's been fine. He's not, he's not like Anzalone, but he's not bad. Especially for a guy that, I mean, he was okay before he got cut, but, for a guy with Sound Street, but a couple of those guys have actually turned out to be.
Muhammad, too. Drew, shout out to you. Mentioning him.
Hey, Muhammad's a starter. He is a certified starter now, so dude, I don't even really consider him in that. Yeah.
They might be in the go forward, like, hey, next year, Al-Qadim Muhammad and Pat O'Connor are a part of the full-time roster, maybe
rotation,
even.
Yeah, they're rotating in.
So, it's impressive to say the least that we've been able to do that, but I don't know. I do want the full-time starters to come back pretty soon here.
No, they're truly doing a committee at the linebacker position. There's even this guy. I just want to give a shout out, Turner, number 47.
Yeah, Ezekiel Turner.
A phenomenal tackle for loss where he shot through the line and smacked Josh Jacobs. I was like, who the fuck is Turner? Who the fuck is this guy, bro? So, I mean, no, I like what I'm seeing. Do you guys want to go ahead and get into our game balls? This is, I think, an excellent.
Well,
right before that, though. Fuck Rob Parker and Colin Coward. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the points about the talking heads. I do think it's it's like has the narrative changed on the Lions now, where it's shifting from the lovable losers to a more dominant team that finds a way to win? What do you guys think?
We talked about this a little bit earlier in our group message, but the Bleacher Report of the best NFC record, but not the best NFC team. I know it's clickbait, but I think we think that just like the Chiefs, we find a way to win, like the best team in the league, right? But I think a lot of these people think that we're fraudulent in a way, that we get lucky. If you think back to the Vikings 3 years ago, how they kind of, they boasted an 11-1 record at one point, but you could tell that they weren't that good. I think a lot of these, these guys who speak on these talk shows and ESPN, some of these people don't think that we're the real deal.
I think some of those people are doing it for clicks. Because our point differential is 178 points. That is the highest in the league by a good amount. So, yes, we had 2 games in a row. By the way, the Packers decent, a divisional opponent who's 9-3, whose only losses on the season are before that to the Lions, the Vikings, and the Eagles. That's their 3 losses so far this season. Now 4. The only 4 teams they've lost to have a combined 5 losses between them. So
to be fair, just one little thing: the Packers have only beat 1 team with a winning record. But carry on.
Sure, but the thing is you look at I think some of these people are just saying this shit because they're running out of takes, they're running out of clickbait, and doesn't pay anymore to say, oh, Detroit's a good team. Obviously, We're a good team.
Right.
Obviously, we're beating the shit out of bad teams and we're beating good teams. I think a lot of that is just because people need clicks, truly clicks. Because if someone thinks we're fraudulent, then every single good team that's ever existed is just not good.
Well, it's talking about just wild takes. Teddy Bruschi was, I forget what network he's on, but I don't know if you guys saw what he said, but he criticized Dan Campbell for the 4th and inches call, saying that now that you're a top team, you shouldn't be playing like this chip on the shoulder underdog. You shouldn't be going for it. You should be playing more conservative. I think that's such a wild take that you build a team towards success a certain way, and then when you get to success, is he claiming that you should change your identity? I don't know. I try not to get triggered by it, but Patriots, man, I get triggered by it.
Just can't see the vision. I think because when you play football for so long and he's trained by the Bill Belichick, the old Patriots, right? When you play football for so long, his mind probably thinks one way. So he probably looks at it as just desperation. Whereas we look at it as nah, we're fucking better than you. You can't stop us for these 2 yards. Where he's the Panthers would do that. The whatever would do that. And I think actually in one of our first episodes on the show, we were talking about Dan Campbell going for the 4th down. So we compared the 2 teams that went for it the most were the Detroit Lions, and then last year the worst team, the Carolina Panthers. And so I think that's probably where sentiment comes from. But he's just wrong. It's just okay to admit that, hey, there's a new train of thought. Dan Campbell's bringing this fresh, new thought that we haven't seen in the last few years, and just admit you're wrong and accept it.
By the way, before that game, I want to reiterate, during most of the season, he's been more aggressive than most coaches, but he's toned it down compared to past years because we have a better team.
Kicker.
And it's the better kicker. And it's a lot of people just watch the primetime games and spit their stupid takes because that's the only games they actually watch.
Right.
Teddy Bruschi, great football player, half job at times an analyst. Rob Parker, known clickbait artist. Colin Cowherd, self-appointed genius clickbait artist, who, by the way, George and Jordan were huge fans of in college. You've got these people that the only people that are saying this either only watch the Lions when it's a primetime game, or just are trying to be this a cut against the grain. 85% of people like Dan Campbell. I'm going to be the 15% that doesn't. So people watch me. That's what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, Dan Campbell, if you think he's an objectively bad coach, you can say what you want about nitpick his decision making. If you say he's an objectively bad coach, like some people are saying, you're either clickbait or have the IQ of a porcupine.
A porcupine?
Yeah, not smart.
That's funny.
Rival.
What do you think, George?
I don't think Colin Cowherd's that bad.
Oh,
I think he just
I just caught a stray right there for liking Colin Cowherd in college.
I think I think
Hey,
he
just
just
because he's got a hot daughter doesn't mean you gotta like him.
Here's a tweet for you, George, from 2021. If you're
Self-report.
looking for winners and losers in tonight's trade, consider this. Jared Goff goes from Sean McVay to Fred Flintstone. Won't end well.
He said that?
He said that in 2021. And just a few days ago, he said how Dan Campbell is an idiot, basically. So
I do like that comparison. It's just funny to think of like Fred Flintstone, the cartoon out there. I know they had the real live action. They have the live action one too. So yeah.
Well, some people are just haters.
Yeah, they are. No, I mean, so we spoke a lot about obviously some of those defensive guys stepping up, right? Those guys that we didn't know who we didn't know who some of these guys were, more than 14 days ago. And so for my game ball, man, I'm going to give it to Aaron Glenn. I think George said that he would marry this guy about 2 weeks ago. And I think that we'd all fall in line with him. Continuously doing more with less. I mean, they scored 31 points. I mean, whatever. They went out there and performed, but stopgap, man. We're buying our time. We're holding down where we need to. The defense is getting sticky in certain positions. I know you guys like when the defense gets sticky, especially the DBs. That's Drew's phrase right there. I'm just giving you guys a shout out. And Aaron Glenn, I mean, he's a head coach next year, which sucks. He's a head coach next year, so I love what he's doing. Hopefully we can get these guys back. Hopefully we can get this 1 seed because we desperately need that bye week to heal up. But love what he's doing, and that's my game ball.
Yeah, it was masterclass by him, in my opinion, especially after losing Aleem, who's like I would argue he's our best defender now. I mean, you can make a strong argument for Brian Branch, but I mean, when you look at how depleted our D line is, Aleem is maybe the most important.
Right, that's a good point.
He also quickly got Jack Campbell into like leading the defense, as soon as Anzalone's out of there. Because I mean, you see Jack Campbell now doing all the calls, getting out there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that they gotta be on. I mean, and who knows at what capacity their relationship was even before that, but it's just cool to see seamless. It's not even an issue.
Yeah. Which is, George, I've actually never thought about that, but this is, as sucky as it is having Anzalone out, this is an awesome opportunity for Jack Campbell's development. And so I didn't even think about that, but that's something that I'll also be looking out for. That's awesome.
It's interesting because they had Barnes was kind of in that role before, kind of like
second in
those
command.
Captain, just top
a
dog
vocal leader on the field. Yeah.
And then, but he's been out, so like Jack Campbell has kind of been that secondary guy. So I don't know. It's just interesting to see. I don't know what's going to happen, and it'll be cool once we just have a healthy team. That would be so nuts, man. Oh God, it's deep.
Come on. Do you guys buy into these reports of Aiden Hutchinson trying to make to the Super Bowl? Do you buy into that?
Yes.
I just saw NFC Championship now.
Get the fuck out of here!
They're moving it up. They're like he's running underwater, and I'm like, I'm buying. I'm like, let's go.
You saw him walking. He's doing the.
Is he limping?
He was doing that after the game. He's been out and about too.
We'll talk about this in 2 weeks. I'm not buying into any of that hype right now.
All I'll say is it won't matter. It won't not to say that Hutch isn't a world-class player, but I'm not afraid. Like, this game proved to me, like, if you listen to the last pod, I was out there, I was predicting a loss against Packers because of what.
Enough report.
Yeah. Oh, I got it. Hand up, man. I own my own takes. But yeah, I thought that we were depleted and that there was a huge excuse we could lean into having, basically missing our entire defense.
80%. Yeah.
And it didn't matter. It literally, like, this team found a way to win. And so I'm not like, it doesn't really mean much to me if Hutch comes back or not, like to our chances of success. It doesn't.
That doesn't mean much to you?
No.
He comes out, Aaron Rodgers flag on the field.
I think he's hype as shit. I think it'd be awesome, but like I don't think like it. I don't think it matters.
Pretty much.
I think we overcome that shit.
Yeah.
Find a way to
I
win.
don't. Yeah, I agree. I just got to talk about this fan speculation. You know, people are eating that shit up. So
Bring him back for the Super Bowl. Get him one ceremonial play.
Drew, you're the resident doctor. Is there any way? Is there any like doping that he could do to help speed up the bone growth?
Oh yeah, there is. I guarantee he's doing it.
Yeah, because because he could easily do it and then get clean by the time to whatever. So fucking do it. What are you talking about? We got
Get
two
clean.
months.
Why they're not allowed to do that for injuries? Like, why are you not allowed to do like?
Right. Help
The
yourself.
NFLs have a policy for like you can use it until a certain point before you come back. That should be a thing.
I agree. Whatever.
Mutant
Yeah, right.
genes. Shout out CJ Gardner-Johnson.
Well, shout out Calvin Johnson that has been a huge proponent of marijuana for pain relief. He got a whole company. So I think that's probably the reason why. But to answer your question,
Yeah.
Jim.
You think Aiden's blitzed high right now? Is what you're saying?
I mean, would you be?
He's definitely got some stem cells in those legs. Does that have a similar effect?
Yeah, he's got some fetuses in his leg. Just kidding.
Yeah. I don't even know. I was going to say something wild, but that's not this type of podcast.
He's got a letter. But
All right, I got a game ball.
I was gonna say not in Trump's America.
True.
Oh fuck. Anyways,
George president.
game balls, man.
George said he's
Come
got
on.
one.
I got one. Master
You got
Bates. Yeah, Master Bates. 2 for 2 for field goals, 4 for 4
Fire.
for extra points.
Electric.
Game winner.
Ice.
I was fucking shitting bricks in that stadium sitting there.
Poopy.
I was like, please, 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 please. But hey, Drew, maybe there was some truth to what you're saying. Get that miss out early. Pressure's gone. Just kick away. Swing away, Bobby.
Don't give energy to that stupid shit. You don't want anybody getting the yips. That's not how kicking works. But let's
You don't have it.
Huh?
He doesn't have the yips. Hell no. Far from it.
Knock on wood.
Exactly. So, how many game winners is that? Is that 3 in the season? Texans,
Vikings, Texans, Packers. Any more?
Yeah, that's 3.
That's still great. Take that. 3 wins on his account.
Houston almost counts for 2 because he had 2 fucking must.
Yeah.
And they were for like 50 plus yards, weren't
Right. That's
Yeah.
fucking. Ooh.
You know, it's I've got a and this kind of goes back to the take about the fourth and inches call, but it relates to the field goal. I mean, maybe it's just me, but watching the NFL as a whole this season, I've seen so many field goals blocked. I feel like unproportionally more this year than previous. I mean, you think back. I mean, I know the Bears lost the game on a blocked field goal. The Broncos lost the game on a blocked field goal. I feel like just in general, like you're seeing way more of them blocked, and so I do think that whether that's true or not, you know, if you look at the physics of a field goal, literally like kicking it further, and this goes to the point of like going for it and making the field goal easier for Jake Bates on that 4th inches is like, you look at the physics, like if you're kicking a further field goal, the ball is going to come out lower, right? Like it's gotta, you know, it's going for distance.
Right.
And so I do think, like, I wonder what the percentage, like the make percentage is, you know, based on the way the ball's kicked, whether we had kicked it at the 4th and inches or where we kicked it, you know, from the 20, whatever it was. Even though it's like 10 yards, I think that did matter.
Yeah, blocks are definitely up. It might have something to do with Mercury being in retrograde, but I definitely didn't think that. I don't know the physics, and honestly, when you said that, like, I'm not saying you're wrong, but it just sounds weird. That being said, I think some of the kickers in the league today do that kind of kick where they try to get more like low distance on it as opposed to the big boom.
Yeah.
And
How much
one
further?
in particular is the Bears kicker, Cairo Santos. So
Right.
if we can, I would love to block one of his kicks later this year because he's a prime block kick candidate.
How much further ahead was he, Drew?
I mean, it was
David Montgomery made what, 2 yards, 3 yards?
No, it was like 6.
no, it was like
No, but that was
6 yards.
And then didn't they run another play?
Yeah, and then Jared Goff ran to the left hash mark.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be negligible, but I think, Jim, it's crazy that you don't understand that physics.
Right.
But if
How is
it's
that different than? Well, why would you not want like?
Remember, he can't
all
even
right,
throw
think of a
hospital,
punt.
bro.
You think of a punt. You know how like people say like you out punt your coverage because you're kicking it more line drive.
Well, yeah, but you
It's
can
going
kick just far
further
and kick it up in
faster.
the air.
It's going further faster. Think of the distance that it has to travel.
I get the faster part. When you say the faster part, that makes more sense to me.
So
Shorter
do you
one's
think
gonna
some
be higher,
kickers just
faster.
kick it slower?
No,
That they're closer? Like they kick
No.
it slower if they're closer?
No, they kick it so it goes higher sooner.
Right.
They're always kicking
Like,
hard as fuck.
like a chip shot in golf.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're doing
If you
that.
look
Oh,
at
yeah,
a drive
you're
off the
good.
tee, it's super low to the grass and goes super far. But if you look at a chip shot, it's like the power. It's almost the same amount of
Look at Jim. Look at
energy
Jim.
that's going
Jim's
into it.
like,
Just which way the energy is
how
going. Is
do
it
I
going up
attack
or is it
this?
going?
No, it makes
No,
sense. now
that
you
makes
said it.
sense. I agree. That makes sense. So Jake Bates, Aaron Glenn. Who else we got? Come on, there's an obvious one. Who was the number one receiver?
I'll give it. Yeah. TP Tim Patrick, man.
TP, baby.
How awesome is it to see that? 2 tutties. Obviously, like it was a long time coming. He had that one. I can't remember who it was against, but it was like called a touchdown and then it brought back to the one.
Yeah.
But it's been a long time in the making, and so awesome to see like a guy like that. Like I can't, of all the media stuff that I've read, like nobody is a hater of Tim Patrick. He obviously, 2 years of injuries. And I didn't know this. He was undrafted before, way back, before that, he kind of just grinded his way into this, being like an NFL vet. And I, just might be like, he's definitely got to be considered for newcomer of the year for this Lions team. I mean, just filling that Josh Reynolds role. Yeah.
No, I agree with you.
Here.
Yeah, no, he's been phenomenal.
Big body. Big body.
Yeah. Super consistent, catches everything, no drop passes. I love having that third option at receiver. So that's a really good game ball. Jim, who are you going to give your game ball to?
I'm going to give it to Drew's ex-boyfriend, Ben Johnson. Now, X, yeah. He's come around to the AG side of the equation. But I think, he has had, I think that Chicago game wasn't his best showing. I think he wasn't horrible, but I think it wasn't his best showing. And I think our offense really needed to step up today, and it did. Or not today, last Thursday. And it really did. It was one of those games where if our offense doesn't show up, things could get ugly pretty quickly. And the Packers don't have an amazing defense, but I think, it's still a good team. They still have good pieces. They still have a good offense. So he called, and he had made some awesome adjustments. The run game was actually, especially the Gibbs running, wasn't working awesome. So what did he do? He manufactured runs through screens and short passes to the running backs with open field. So he did a nice job of keeping the offense fresh, keeping those short kind of pseudo runs going, even when they traditional runs weren't working. And damn, some of those calls on like fourth down in the end zone, those 2 fourth down touchdowns, he literally had the Packers defense in a blender. It was actually crazy to see that small of an area for them to cover, and there was literally wide open players.
Yeah, no, that's a really good shout out. You did mention somebody there. I just want to give a double shout out to Gibbs. So he broke 1,000 yards for the first time in his career. And like you said, Ben Johnson was using him, getting mismatches with linebackers, get him out there quick in space. So awesome from both of them. One more thing on Gibbs. I think right now he's sitting at 4th or 5th in Pro Bowl voting. So it's looking like our boy is for sure going to go to the Pro Bowl. So shout out to the offense, shout out to Ben Johnson, and shout out to Gibbs. Love that.
How many running backs go for each side?
I think it's 3 from each.
3 per conference.
Yeah.
So he's got a good chance. I mean, he's probably going to go. The only question is Monty the third?
It'll probably be Bijan? Yeah, Bijan.
Yeah.
Dijon
probably him or Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
Go vote. Everybody go vote.
Oh, yes. Josh Jacobs, actually, I forgot. I think Saquon for sure was above Gibbs, but Josh Jacobs would be John.
Well, Saquon's MVP. He could very well be MVP.
Right. But Pro Bowl is a fan voting award. It's not a.
Like George said, this is a very important vote. We need to go out and rock the vote. Everybody participate in democracy, please. What the hell?
That's funny. Speaking of MVP, I know this isn't going to be the Bills preview, and maybe we'll touch on this again, but Jared Goff had a massive jump in MVP odds after Thursday night, obviously before the Sunday games, so it's changed a little bit. But he jumped from plus 1,200 to plus 850 right after the game, and then is now sitting comfortably in third. Josh Allen, I don't know if you guys caught the game yesterday, had
ridiculous,
insane game. I think he had 5 total touchdowns. Like, he was, he was the Bills. So I think, it'd be pretty tough to beat,
overthrow that.
Yeah. But I do still kind of think, whoever wins this next game, huge matchup. I think
this might be the worst thing you ever hear me say as a Lions fan. Love Jared Goff, love what he's doing, looks great out there. He does not deserve that thing over Saquon or Josh Allen. I'm gonna be real. Listeners, you guys can argue in the comments, but
well, I'm gonna argue with you right now. I completely disagree.
Saquon, man, is jumping over people backwards. Like you just said, Josh Allen is going 3 passing, 3 rushing touchdowns. Buddy, we're lucky if Jared Goff can run for 3 yards. So,
how many losses does Saquon's team have?
2.
How many does Jared Goff's team have?
3. Are you counting your chickens before they hatch?
No, I'm just saying that we're talking about right now. We're talking about right now.
If Saquon breaks the record, though, I think it's him, bro.
There's no precedent for that.
You said what?
There's no precedent for that.
Well,
no, if he breaks the record, who was it? Tyreek broke the record broke the receiving record a couple years ago. He didn't win MVP.
Oh, he was short. Short like 100 yards.
It was. Calvin still got it. But and Cooper Kupp actually still has something too. Anyways, I think either of them would be a good. I mean, both of them are deserving. I think Jared Goff is in that discussion. I think they're completely different styles, but Jared Goff has been the most accurate passer in the NFL this season. He's been the most efficient in his system. You're right, he's not Josh Allen in the sense that I think if you put Josh Allen and Jared Goff both on a horrible team, I think Jared Goff wins them an extra 2 games. I think, or maybe a game or 2-3 games. I think, Josh Allen gets them close to playoffs. The question in a vacuum, who's hypothetically more valuable to a bad team, but who's more valuable to their team right now? I don't know the answer. I think either one, if you replace them at quarterback, it's Cheeks McGee. But I look, I do not like the Eagles. I don't want the Eagles to be good. I would love it if a non-quarterback won the award. If it's not going to be Goff, I'd prefer it to be Barkley. Right, yeah. And I like Josh Allen a lot. Like any of these 3 guys, honestly, I'd be fine with winning because they're all likable. What I don't think should happen is I think Lamar's having a good year. The Ravens are not good enough for him to win it. And Patrick Mahomes in 5th right now. If Patrick Mahomes wins it, I think we should, Jan 6 NFL headquarters.
No way Mahomes wins it.
Hey, do not say no way about this league.
There's no way Mahomes wins it. I will say that right now. No way. If he wins
probably
it,
that's probably not. But I'm just saying, if he does win it, we Jan 6 the NFL headquarters.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Saquon only needs 482 yards over the next 4 games to break the all-time rushing record.
Who do they play?
Saquon.
That's huge. That's unbelievable.
They play the Steelers.
There's a whole extra game. You know who? OJ had 2,003 rushing yards in 14 games. So what? You're talking about
murder.
I'm talking about what we can do right now, and that's a big deal. That's a lot.
I mean, he's got in order. He has the Steelers, Commanders, Cowboys, and the Giants.
Eminently doable, especially if they're not resting him the last week. Like his best case scenario for winning the MVP is if the Lions lose another game and it's the last game actually matters for the Lions versus the Vikings. Then I could see him going absolutely ballistic against the Giants. Ironically enough, if they are either out of the running for the first seed but you have the 2 seed locked up, or somehow already have the 1 seed, I could see him losing the MVP in Week 18. But you bring up OJ. No, there's no jokes. There's no jokes there. 16-game season, that is true. They ran the ball a lot more then. It was a lot less of a passing league. I think LaDainian Tomlinson is still the best running back season ever, and Adrian Peterson's had a couple years too. So I don't know, and even Barry Sanders. So I don't know if it's truly the best running back season ever, but it's the best running back season we've seen in quite some time. I don't think that's arguable.
Yeah,
I just I think it's tough. Obviously none of us have a vote, but if I did,
you don't?
it would be tough for me. It would be tough for me to not think about Saquon on the Giants last year. And if he's such a good player, why did he not perform on a bad team? And that's running backs in general. I don't think it's necessarily
Giants
Saquon.
got worse. They're worse.
Yeah, the Giants are worse.
The Giants. What I'm saying is why couldn't he play well on a bad team? He was so good.
I think because when you're in a horrible system with a horrible line and a horrible quarterback.
So to your point, he's system. So he's a system running back.
Well, no,
every running back is a system running back.
That's exactly great point. Great point. So why should a running back win the MVP?
How many quarterbacks would have been on the 2023 New York Giants and led them to significant success? I'd argue next to none.
Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito, yeah. Danny DeVito and Tommy Danny. Danny's out there. 4'11" behind the center. That'd be awesome, actually. No, I get your point, Drew, but I also think running backs are amplified on good teams and mitigated on bad teams more than any other position.
Damn, crazy you steal my take from 5 pods ago.
Hey, shove it up your ass. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. I'm
kidding. I'm sorry.
The real reason I think he deserves MVP or consideration is Jalen Hurts has honestly regressed as a quarterback. He's not horrible. He's not having his year like he had last year, but they're their passing offense is one of the not worst in the league, but one of just the least successful in the league in terms of yards per game, yada yada. And they have 3 great receiving threats. So the fact that they're leaning on Saquon Barkley that much, it's the same thing with the Lions and Gibbs/Montgomery. Yes, you could put almost any running back behind that line and they'd look good, but when you put an F-150 and a Maserati behind it, they're going to look amazing. They're just going to be so much. You maximize running backs with a good line. So is it symbiotic? Sure, but here's what's the difference. I think Eagles last year 11-6 get walloped in the playoffs by Baker Mayfield. This year they look like a wagon.
Yeah,
that's a stoppable wagon, though. That's a very stoppable wagon.
I didn't say they're not. But I'm just saying they look way better than it. And you on your take a couple weeks ago, this is your fault. The reason that they're still winning,
right?
George,
but at the same
George,
time,
what do you know about wagons?
Oh, a bit. But anyways, we stopped Josh Jacobs.
Oh yeah.
What the hell?
No, I mean,
yeah, he's good.
He's been crazy. He's had a crazy season. He's had a crazy season.
He's had a good season. Marginally better than Gibbs. And Gibbs
We're talking the top 3.
I don't think he's had a better season than Gibbs. Honestly, I think. George, I get your argument. I'm not saying the Lions can't stop Saquon Barkley. I think the Lions could stop any of these players. I think Josh Allen's going to have a good game. Do I think he's going to have 6 touchdowns against the Lions? No.
Hell no.
He won't.
He has played better
That
since
Rams
getting
defense
engaged, which is interesting.
I'm way more afraid of Josh Allen than Saquon, that's for sure.
Hey, that's personal preference.
Sure.
Honestly,
that's actually a good point, Drew. That's a great point.
With that Eagles O-line?
Yeah, I think I'm more afraid of the Eagles. The Bills, I think
line is one.
What?
The Bills are one-dimensional. If you just take away the running game and force Josh Allen to play, he's going to play good.
Here.
But
real quick, off the top of your head,
first of all, he's going to play well.
Off the top of your head,
okay, grammar.
Off the top of your head, besides James Cook, name a skill position on the Bills. Go.
Amari Cooper.
Talking true, right?
Oh, Amari Cooper. Okay, besides Amari Cooper, anybody else besides those 2?
Dawson Knox.
All right, there you go. Fine.
Yeah,
Also, I don't think
I don't
he's
get your point. What's
He's
your
not even
point?
Stevie starting tight end. They don't have a great supporting cast besides like James Cook and Amari Cooper and him haven't even had like a great connection yet.
I hate to
Coleman.
disagree with you, Kane, because I agree with your general point about who I think is harder to beat. But I think the Bills have a pretty good skill position group. I think their line is fine. I think that's the difference. I think the
But
Eagles
not as
line.
good as the Eagles is what
No,
you're saying?
I think you're missing my point. I'm more afraid of Josh Allen than Saquon Barkley. That's not to say I'm more afraid of the Bills than I am the Eagles. I'm just saying if I'm an opposing team,
Like if they both have the ball in their
I think it's
hands
the same.
and they're running, you're more afraid of Josh Allen than Saquon?
no, like if I'm going into a game like we are against the Bills next week,
So you are taking the teams into account.
no, I am more afraid of
It's a
playing
game.
Josh
What
Allen.
player you're going to have to game
Right,
more than
exactly.
the other?
Yes. I think the Eagles, one of their defense is incredible. Like that's what I'd be. That's I think the what I'd be most afraid of facing the Eagles is how good their defense is.
Yeah, I mean,
I think, hear me out, game plan. If you say, let's go let Josh Allen beat us, throw the ball, run around crazy, he's going to do it. If the Eagles are running on you at will, that's going to, you go against the Bills and say, we're not going to let James Cook beat us. They're not going to run the ball. So they're not going to dominate possession. We'll let Josh Allen run around, do his crazy shit.
Yeah.
We've been doing that against teams like Geno Smith, Kyler, like that's how we play against quarterbacks.
and they do well against us, though.
If they start doing to us what we do to teams, I don't want to fucking see that. We bully teams into submission.
Yeah, I agree.
No, go ahead.
I agree, man. Our secondary, by the way, is the strength of our defense right now.
For
Our
sure.
secondary is the thing that holds us down. So Josh Allen's a great quarterback. The Bills have great receiving threats. If you take away the run game from the Bills, I think they can move the ball and score a little bit, but I don't think I think we can play our pound and ground game.
That's an outrageous take. I legitimately think that's an outrageous take.
Outrageous take.
I think it's not. The difference is the playmakers. How many plays have we seen Josh Allen make just this season? It doesn't matter if the players are covered downfield.
Playmakers. What did I say that you don't agree with the playmakers?
What I'm saying is that even if you take that's the beauty of Josh Allen. That's why he's one of the best players. That's why he's minus 400 in MVP voting right now. Is that even if you take away one thing, he's gonna make a play. He's gonna make a play to put his team in a position to win the game. You watched the game against the Rams last night. Yes, the Bills ended up losing. That was the fact that the Bills were even in the game was because of Josh Allen consistently making plays.
I'm not saying, I don't know where you're getting off saying that I'm saying that he doesn't make plays. I'm saying
you're comparing a quarterback to a running back. So
yeah, I think you are misunderstanding. Other people are misunderstanding. What I'm saying is not that Josh Allen's not going to make plays. I'm saying if an offense is one-dimensional, there's going to be drives, as there was against other good teams, where he can't do it. If the secondary's got it covered and there's one linebacker who makes a play, that drive is over. Right, he's going to make plays. If the Eagles and Saquon Barkley are churning up yards and just eating up yards, they're churning the clock. They're in control.
Taking the ball from us.
Stack the box. And then when you stack the box to stop him, what happens? They have A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith and Dallas Goedert. And they have Jalen Hurts who can run the ball. I'm not saying Josh Allen's not going to get his plays. I'm not scared of him. I'm scared of both of them. What I'm saying is if
So you're afraid. You're afraid, huh?
I mean, you should always be slightly fearful but confident.
The Lions play well against great running backs.
Points. We got to see it. Seriously. But I get what you're saying, Drew. Genuinely. Josh Allen he's Superman. Damn, I sound fucking corny as hell. He has the ability to go out there and do anything.
Anthony Richardson did us dirty kind of in his type of way, Josh Allen type of way. And Josh Allen is way better than him. So that I can see why people are more concerned. And he has the ball every play. It's not like Saquon's splitting it.
I don't love that comparison, to be honest.
What? I mean,
well, I think
Anthony Richardson
whether you
did
like
well.
it or not, the simple fact of the matter is that we have not, our defense as a team, we have not played against a mobile quarterback under this regime. So, yeah, I'm still afraid of Josh Allen way more than Saquon. It's not even close.
Patrick Mahomes mobile?
Yes, Patrick Mahomes is mobile.
We beat him 21-20. Would you consider Kyler Murray mobile?
Well,
We've beaten everybody,
We beat
bro.
them
That's not
20-13.
fair. That's not fair.
Huh?
We beat a lot of great running backs. We're known
they
for
still
shutting
did well
down great
against
running
us.
backs.
Right. But I never said that we can't beat great running backs. I never said that
No,
we can't
but
beat great
your argument
Saquon.
is literally so flawed. That whole argument is
That's
very
why I don't
flawed.
like
I
when
didn't
you
say that. I
What are you
didn't say that. I didn't say
What are you
that.
talking about, bro? Your argument's ironclad. What the hell are you talking about, flawed? You're saying we haven't beaten any mobile quarterbacks. I just pointed out two
I didn't
extremely
say
quarterbacks.
we haven't beaten any
Yes, you
mobile
did. We
quarterbacks. I
struggled
said they
against them
played
both.
well against
Kyler
us.
Murray.
Kyler Murray played well against us?
Had
No, we
9
crushed
yards
them.
per carry.
We clapped
9
them.
yards. 9 yards
And
per
how
carry.
many points did their team score?
I'm not.
Like 10?
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that we
13.
can't beat them.
13.
I'm saying that
How
they
many-
still.
How many points did the Chiefs score last year in the game opener with Patrick Mahomes? MVP, mobile quarterback. How many points?
13?
I mean,
20.
not as mobile as Josh
19,
Allen
19.
for sure.
But at that time, a better passer. MVP. They scored 20 points.
I'm not saying we can't beat a mobile quarterback. I'm saying that
Then what are you screaming about arguments are flawed for if all you're saying is you have one take over the other? I'm not saying you have a flawed argument. I'm just saying I disagree with it. There's no flaw saying you have a flawed argument. Yeah, we beat good running backs. We beat good quarterbacks. So at that point, just take your pick on who you're more fearful of. I personally am more fearful of a successful Saquon Barkley because that means they're churning up the field. If you think that Josh Allen's more scary, okay. I disagree, but I'm not sitting over here saying you're got a flawed argument.
And honestly, they're both valid points. Drew, earlier
I
we
think
were
they're
talking
both
about.
flawed.
I'll go to hell.
Well, at least we make
Hey,
a take.
now Buddy
George.
wants to speak
At least
up.
we have takes, George.
I just said a whole bunch of shit, you bozo.
You said Anthony Richardson. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, because Josh Allen's similar body type, and Anthony Richardson did us fucking dirty. Josh Allen's going to do us worse, seemingly, by that metric. I mean, we shut down great running backs. Stop that.
Anthony
Stop
Richardson
that.
did us dirty. He had one good drive.
Yeah, right.
He didn't look bad
Hey,
that
hey,
game.
listen,
He looked
Jim,
horrific all season,
George-
and he looked
George
good
is-
during our game.
George is an expert in body types, so I give him that.
Come on.
Right.
You got to look
11
at
for
that
28
body.
with 172.
I
11
will
for
say
28,
Saquon's
172.
body is crazy, though. Those legs are nuts.
Those legs are nuts.
Those
That's
legs
a
are
fact.
nuts. I mean, pause, relax.
Saquon.
It's
I just argued against him, but Josh Allen also has an absurd body for a quarterback. He literally looks
exactly
like
what I said, bro.
It's the tight
He looks
end.
like an elk. He looks like an elk running out there. Like a tight end's a good comparison. Yeah, but he looks like an elk. You know, like those just like
It looks like Dawson Knox is playing quarterback. Anyways,
literally. I mean,
no, probably about 15 minutes ago before we got into that little debate. So the receiving yard leaders, Drew. So I think you were thinking of Tyreek Hill 2 years ago. He got 1,700, but then got injured, so he fell short. The closest person to Kelvin was Cooper Kupp when he got the Triple Crown, and he fell 17 yards
And
short.
did he win
So,
MVP?
Cooper
I
Kupp,
can't
yeah,
remember.
offensive.
well,
What
to
are
be
you
fair, that's not
saying?
MVP.
What
To
I'm
be
saying
fair,
is
he's
that
going to get to Mahomes, bro. Like, come on. They're going to give it to Mahomes every time they can. Anyways,
They might.
no. Let's move on. Look at remaining games in the season. No, so just to go ahead one more last time and take a look at the remaining schedule, I just want to take a look at it and compare it to the Eagles and the Vikings. So, Eagles got a pretty easy road. I think I already talked about it. They have, let me see here, they got the Steelers, which are tough. Commanders should be easy. Cowboys should be easy. And Giants should be easy. Compared to us, we got the Bills and we got the Vikings. I think we have a much harder road. What are you guys' thoughts on that? You guys think we can hold out? I mean, Drew thinks we're going to lose this next game. So do you guys think we can hold out or what?
I think we lose. I honestly don't think that's a bad take because I think if there's a game to lose, it's this game. Now,
If we lose to the Vikings, I'll be fucking pissed.
no, we can't lose an NFC game. We can win out, or we can go 3-1 as long as the one loss is the Bills. And I bet you they'll be pissed coming off that loss in LA, putting up 42 points and having nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we can do it. I think the Vikings. I hate to sound like someone that's probably talked about the Lions for years like this, but the Vikings are a good team. I just can't see them winning the Super Bowl. And I can't see them winning the division. I can't see them doing anything other than winning one playoff game, maybe two.
And the Vikings still have the Seahawks, Packers, and then us. And so those are teams that are trying to fight for playoff positioning. So I don't see the Vikings as the big threat there. Eagles, as long as we don't lose more than one game, we're solid. So I think we're chilling there. You guys
we underestimated the Vikings. You know, one of their players came out and said after they beat the Falcons yesterday, you know, he literally said, how come everyone's talking about the Lions and not us?
Because we beat you, dumbass. Yeah. No, that's funny. Fuck them. We'll see. Hey,
Brian Murphy Jr., that's who said it.
Hey, we'll see. Week 18. We'll fucking see. They got a solid offense. They got a great defense. We'll fucking see. So
they're also on a 11-game win streak, and they're on a 6. So it's not as good.
Ooh. They lost to us.
Right.
And the Rams, yeah.
Oh, and the Rams. Rams sneak people, bro. They lose horrible games, but then they sneak good teams. It's my fear of the Rams.
When they're playing well, I feel like they're one of the better teams in the NFL. And then there's other games where their defense like shows its lack of experience and skill, and Stafford has like an old man game.
It's the staff, dude. It's almost completely dependent on Stafford, I think. You go out there and you look at him. In some games, he looks fucking horrible. Like 2 interceptions, no touchdown, 200 yards. They get their ass clapped. But then he goes out there and Nakua, Cup, they're firing, and he looks phenomenal. Looks like the Stafford that we used to love back in the day, George's ex-boyfriend. But yeah, man.
I got a question for you guys, actually, real quick.
What's up?
Who would you hypothetical? Lions get the 1 seed, right? 7 seed is the Commanders, 6 seed Packers, 5th seed Vikings. Would you rather have a rematch with the Seahawks/Rams, assuming they win the West in the second round, or would you rather play the Packers?
I'd rather play the Seahawks.
Give me the Packers.
Oh, wow. I think I'd rather play the Rams.
I'd rather play the Seahawks.
Wow. That's 3 different answers. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm sick of the from a who we could beat. I actually agree with Drew, but I don't want to play them again. It's just such a stupid emotional thing every single time. And my team I least want to play is the Seahawks. They just seem to have something against the Lions. Even though we beat them like soundly, you could say, like they've been playing well. They just play well against the Lions. So I think realistically my answer is the Packers. But those 3 teams,
I would at least want to play the Packers. Tough to beat the team 3 times.
Yeah, I at least want to play the Packers.
I was just thinking about the coolest matchup. I think we could beat all of them. Fuck them.
It would be cool to bring them back and beat the shit out of them again. But
yeah, show them it's not a fluke. Beat them 3 times.
God forbid.
Dude, could you
forbid.
imagine beating the Packers 3 times in a season and winning a Super Bowl? You could sleep so good at night. You could sleep so good.
Right? Yeah, yeah. But could you imagine beating Stafford 2 years in a row in the playoffs?
He's got no that would be nice, but he's got
we would unequivocally win if we beat the Rams and then won a Super Bowl. We would unequivocally have won that trade.
Yeah,
you gotta favor the Rams right now, having won that trade just because they got the ring. You know, flags fly forever.
That would be cool, actually. I do like that, but I mean, yeah.
I mean, I do think regardless of how it goes down, it's going to be looked at as a win-win. But if you want to look at who won more, I think right now it is the Rams, obviously. But if we come back and if we win any Super Bowl, I think it's a pretty even split.
Any Super Bowl?
We need to win one before,
Yeah.
We need to win one. I don't give a shit if we play. If every other team in the NFL gets horrific tuberculosis and we have to play Penn State, Boise State, and Clarkson High School in the playoffs, it means we win the Super Bowl. As long as we get a Super Bowl, I don't care.
Right. No, I agree with that sentiment. But I think that wraps up tonight's episode. I think we went pretty long here. I think the listeners are going to enjoy it. Or they might think it's a snooze fest because George was snoozing this episode.
I will say the last point I have is I saw this thing on Twitter. I forget who sent it out, but we can go 3-1 in our remaining 4 games, and no matter who the loss is to, still lock up the 1 seed.
Yeah. As I said, as long as we don't lose more than 1 game. So
I have faith. 3-1 is what I'm thinking.
We're gonna win them all.
I'm the only one that's predicted a loss, so you can say that, but like, put your money where their mouth is. Who do we lose to?
Yeah.
I'm
mean,
not gonna lie. I think it's gonna be like the least expected game. Like it's either gonna be the
Bears.
Bears or 49ers.
It's gonna
and I
be
think
like
we'll
the
beat
fucking
Packers
Bears or
or
Niners.
Vikings. And
I mean, don't sleep on the Niners too. We got to go to San Francisco, and you never know. You
Fuck
never
the
know.
Niners.
They're gonna get what's coming.
They're gonna get what's coming. They're gonna get what's deserved. All right, but thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Lions Main Podcast, where we recapped our sweep of the Green Bay Packers. Listen on midweek as we talk through our preview of the Bills matchup. As always, have a beautiful, wonderful Lions Day.